I'm Renee.
And I'm Anthony, and we are the voices, healers, and channelers behind Blue Soul Earth. We connect to higher levels of consciousness to bring forth divine energies, to heal and to teach ancient wisdom.
These energies that we access from higher dimensions largely consist of the ascended masters that humanity across cultures knows really well. They are many, but they speak collectively as one voice. And for simplicity's sake, we call them our spirit team.
How we channel as a couple is very unique. The energies we channel come down through Renee's crown chakra, through her solar plexus, into my solar plexus, and then back up through my crown chakra, and it forms a three-dimensional triangle. That's used to heal and to teach.
These energies flow through us a bit like an infinity 8. The symbolism behind why and how this happens is actually pretty profound.
It's actually accessing divine feminine and divine masculine energies, weaving them together to form one energy to heal and to teach.
We will be channeling different topics in roughly 10 to 15 minute segments that will be part of our Blue Soul Wisdom series.
So if you're just starting out on your spiritual journey,
or if you'd like to access higher levels of consciousness,
or you'd like to take your healing practice to the next level,
then join us.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Anthony.
And I'm Renee. And we are here this evening to talk about enlightenment and the power of it and the impact that it has on our brains.
How does enlightenment physically change our brain? Does it make new neural connections? Does it activate one part of the brain and not the other? Do you have to be religious to have enlightenment? Can you be atheist, agnostic?
We're also going to be reading from the book, How Enlightenment Changes Your Brain, by Andrew Newberg and Mark Robert Waldman. And we're going to bring in some examples of people who are, in fact, atheist or agnostic. We're going to be talking about how their neurons light up in their brain through various experiences that they've had.
And we'll see what each person experiences according to his or her own belief system.
So we're going to bring forth our guides now and have a chit-chat about enlightenment and the power that it can have on the brain.
Let's do that.
Regardless of your belief system. As Anthony begins to connect to our guides, I'm going to read just a little bit from this book about some of the things that have come up from people in this study of people who describe themselves to be not spiritual or not religious or not connected to spirit or consciousness at all. Hi guys.
It is always an honor and privilege to be in your presence, Kaya. Thank you for receiving us.
Thanks for being here. As always, I've got my nose in a book. They talk about a survey which reveals a fascinating perspective on the enlightenment experiences of people who consider themselves non-religious and non-spiritual.
Science.
Yes, science.
And non-duality.
Another one of our favorite topics.
Sand.
Yes.
Yes.
We love the SAND conference. So many of the respondents in this survey labeled themselves as atheists, and yet they still describe their experiences using spiritual terminology.
You see, even when they don't think that they're connected, they are.
I am not at all religious, but I have experienced a variety of spiritual phenomena. I once felt a connection with a divine conduit, which I experienced as a plurality of one mind. Overall, non-religious people define spirituality as a deep sense of connectedness and purpose that gives life meaning and fulfillment. So you can see, with or without God, the enlightenment experience can change a person's entire system of belief. For some, religion is completely abandoned for science, but for others, like Einstein, an underlying spirituality remained embedded in a scientific worldview. So let's talk about the effect that it has on the brain and why there is so much of a feeling, even for agnostics and atheists, that there is a feeling of connectedness. And in some cases, they even use spiritual-like language to describe their experience.
So you will see that in your human brain, that when you are having a enlightened moment, that there's going to be activity in your frontal lobe more so than in the parietal lobe, which is in the back. More of the parietal lobe, or those lobes in the back, are more related to a survival mechanism. But in the frontal lobes, you're using something different. Spirit, universal consciousness, God is connecting. So you see, no matter what religion you are, what faith you are, what belief system you have, it's going to affect your brain in the same way. However, each person, depending on his and her own culture, language, and experiences, will experience it differently. They all have a sense of one thing and one thing only, and that is unity. Unity, or oneness. Oneness with something that they can't seem to experience or explain.
They can't explain.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they experience it. But they cannot explain why they have this sense of unity. Some may refer to it as God. Some refer to it as simply consciousness. Those that have no sense of God or are atheists will say it is a sense of consciousness. And therefore they will say there is no reason then to believe in God. But that too is fine, because what is most important is not the path that you take, the journey that you take, but the fact that you get there. And once you start to feel the oneness of universal consciousness, this is when you can truly all start to connect together. This is when all of your differences in your brains start to function as one. And this is when you start to feel one with love, and love of all things, and love for all people. So you see, science comes together now with spirituality, doesn't it?
It does indeed, and it's been happening more and more under the guise of non-duality.
Non-duality.
Yes.
That is a play on words, isn't it? Yes, for so long during your enlightenment period here upon your earth plane, your famous Descartes, famous philosopher and scientist, decided that duality was the way to go, that science must be separate from spirituality. And so during the enlightened period, you started to understand that God and science must be separate. But famous scientists such as your Einstein knew that even all of that which was coming to him came through spirit. His best work was done while he was sleeping in his rocking chair and taking his naps. This is why we always tell you that it is okay to have a good siesta. A good nap never hurt. Because we will work through you that way. We will work through your brain, if you will, in that manner. We will light up areas of your brain during your resting periods that you usually are not lighting up. that do not trigger during the daytime. So
this is why the theta brain state is so important, because that's a way that we can connect to these higher states of consciousness.
that too is correct. Yes. Lower the breathing. Lower your frequency, if you will, in order to achieve a higher vibrational pattern during theta sleep, during theta meditation. Your brain starts to change that way. It starts to shift. We are showing Anthony different parts of the brain that are lighting up. Things located further in your frontal lobes are lighting up more now, as they are in his brain. He right now is in what you refer to as theta brain. A sense of almost being asleep, but not asleep. You all have the ability to get into that theta brain if you choose. You must will it. And then it will happen. And it will happen in different ways. It doesn't depend on your religion. It doesn't depend on your belief system. You must only have the intention and the will to change your brain. And when you change your brain, you're changing the functions. You are creating new neural networks that are allowing you to evolve, to ascend, or to wake up. So you see that everything that is science is also spirituality. Everything that is spirituality is science.
And in that awakening process, you're accessing higher levels of consciousness, higher states of consciousness, and connecting to the idea and the sense of that unity, and that we are all connected.
And so many of your students want to know, how do they again reach that one feeling, sensation of unity? And we tell you this: change your brain. Each time you have that sense of connection to oneness, you are creating new neural networks within your brain that allow you to take that path again easily, like that. Like the snap of your fingers.
Because there's a memory.
Exactly. There is a code that's put there that allows you to take that path, open that door, and walk through.
More seamlessly and more easily than before.
Yes, but it does take practice. It's again, as we said, you are changing your brain. Your brain is literally lighting up. And it is creating, it is building.
So when it's doing that, if it's in creation mode and it's lighting up, then doesn't that assist us further down the road with things like Alzheimer's and slowing down the aging process?
If you wish how to really decrease the aging process, it is through your spirituality. It is through your ability to change your brain and to become enlightened. To have that feeling every day, because these feelings are all connected to love and unity and oneness. And with that, we will take leave now. Continue to change your brain, and your brain will not grow old. It will slow the process down. Yes, it will grow old, but it just slows down.
And there's so many ways to do that. Meditation is just one of them, but there's many, many other ways to slow your brain down.
That is correct. You find the path. Thank you for receiving us. We are always here to teach and to offer our wisdom. Thank you for allowing your students to be here with us. And with that, we will leave.
Thanks for coming through.
Thank you for having and receiving us.
So our guides are now leaving, going back to that other plane and bringing Anthony back into a state of consciousness and awareness of the here and now in this third dimension, in which his theta brain comes back to normal so he can be here with us on this plane. You're back.
More or less.
So consciousness, enlightenment, and the brain and the effect that it has. So thanks for joining us for that riveting discussion.
We enjoy offering our guidance and our teachings that we have received from our spiritual guides.
Thanks so much for being here, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Bye-bye now.